Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Diaries with me, Fiona Mboa, where we talk about anything and everything to do about marriage. And a disclaimer, we're not experts about marriage. All of us are here to simply share experiences about what we've gone through in the many years that we've been married. Today we are privileged to have two amazing people going to share with us about a very interesting topic. We have Leonard Francis Rego, who's been married for 24 years. And then next to him, we have Peace Ntege, who's been married for 10 years. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
you for being here. So today, we're going to talk about dating your spouse. And then to start us off, maybe Peace, you can tell us how long did you date before you? Because before we talk about dating your spouse, there should have been a dating before. So how long did you date before you got married?
I don't know how long, but our dating was our courtship, was our marriage, was our everything. So like we met in the same year and got married in the same year.
Wow. So you met, got married, and
so we literally met for marriage, not for dating.
Okay. Interesting. How about Leonard? How long did you date before you got married?
Yeah, as far as I remember, it was 2 years.
As far as you remember?
Yes.
Possibly it's not 2 years, but I realized that we have different. In fact, my husband knows we dated longer than I know, so sometimes there's that dating where people don't know that you're
Probably it was 2 years.
Or sometimes people are dating us without our knowledge.
Yeah. Especially the Christians, they date in the spirit. Because I've seen you, I am dating you. But anyway, so now we are married. As you said, 24 years, 10 years. Is it important to actually date your spouse? Is there even such a thing as dating your spouse?
Yeah, sure.
What is dating your spouse? What does it entail?
Of course, I think in simple terms, it's reigniting the spark. Simply reigniting the spark, where you started from. Then it was all, the time you looked at each other and your body responded.
The butterflies.
Yeah, those ones. The chemistry.
Yes. That chemistry, just feel.
The feeling, and then of course later there is a certain point that it all goes away. When the children come in, when the financial constraints come in, and all that. So here we are, we're like, okay, 15 years later, everything is done and gone. We're looking for school fees. We are living a day at a time.
Yes.
The rest is history. But then we hear like, and then later the children are growing and they're in boarding schools, and you are here just two. Okay, so where do we begin from? Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. How did we even begin? What did we do? The things that we did, the things that we said, those nice words that we said to one another. Can you still say them again? What do you want
from me?
Yeah.
There are moments you tell someone, it's like, I don't have money. Please leave me alone. What do you want?
Because some of our tribes, when you start this jazz, they're like, what you want from me, you won't prevail.
Interesting. Wow. So Leonard, for you, 24 years, is dating actually physical in marriage?
It is, and I believe it's very necessary. For me, I've got to learn over the years that love grows and it depends on how you nurture it.
Okay.
So one of the ways you nurture love, for me over the years I've got to learn, it took me a long time, even married, to discover the love language of my life, of my wife, sorry. So when I got to discover it, I began to nurture it further, and it has helped us date in our love, date in our marriage, dating my spouse, because like my sister said, Peace, dating is, you make that spark come back.
Okay.
Keep the fire burning. The Bible actually says don't arouse love before it's right time, because it's a spark. Yes. When it comes, it comes. So it's important when you are dating your spouse to know what to nurture, to grow your love for each other.
But now, Leonard, you're talking about nurturing. As Peace was saying, I have children, I have school, I have this and that, and then I'm there also spending time nurturing love.
You realize that if you didn't have your spouse, those other things wouldn't be there. So you need to go back to the drawing board, like P said. That's where it all began. You can't ignore it. You have to nurture it because that's where it all began. The children came out of that. The work that you have came out of that. Maybe the connections you have came out of that. So it's important to nurture. For me, I consider it very important. And for me, it took me years to realize. But when I realized how important it is, and I've seen the benefit of it over the years in marriage.
So you have been with before the dating,
Yes.
and then after the dating, and clearly it actually makes sense to date your spouse.
Makes a lot of sense.
How do you date your spouse? Please, how would you start even?
I think before we even go to how do you date your spouse, he brought in the aspect of children. We both brought it in, and it is very important because the children are with us every day. I realize when the children come in the picture, abaganda bakwita kwekubira ludda. Tunga tutandika okwekubira kusaidia abaana, especially with the mothers.
Yes.
Then we forget this person that we started our life with. It's all about children, children, and children, and children. Nemere nebofumba, like abana bange.
Yes.
But then, in the long or shorter run, the children will be out of this house.
Definitely.
And you go back to the two of you, how you started, the two of you. Then they're like, now this is when the other reality checks in. So we started the two of us. Then I always want to say that the way we treat one another when the children come in matters a lot. It will speak volumes, just like the way you treat one another when you have money. When you're like, the vibe is high, the way you treat each other.
Yes.
So even when children come in, the way you're treating your partner matters really a lot. Bear in mind that there is a time, so at a certain point, they will be in boarding schools. They will all be long gone.
Is that when people become strangers in a home? Like
Especially when we're mistreated. I use the aspect of finances because they are with us every day, and we've had some reality examples amidst the people that we know. So the way you treated each other when the children were here will now interpret the way you
live after they're gone.
Yes, because now they're gone, but you treated me like a fool.
So meaning I need to date you, because if I don't and I lose out on this,
Yes.
it will, in future, it's going to come and bite me.
The children should add value to us. We should grow with the children in love, in dating, in romance, and everything, but we should not depreciate.
Because of the children.
Because what we do mainly is to depreciate when the children come in the picture. And I think that's deadly.
I like what Peace has brought. Me, I've been honored to have girls. I have a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 17-year-old. But one thing I would advise, especially men, you need to be strategic. Like she was saying, when the children come in, because usually the mother's attention goes to the children.
Yes.
So in wisdom I learned, I needed to catch my wife's attention through the children.
Yes.
So you befriend the children, you keep around them, take them around,
So if
win
he's
their
looking-
heart.
If he's looking to feed the children, he
Wonderful.
finds you there.
Exactly. It's just strategy.
You've already brought
Yes,
that.
you just have to be strategic. So as a man, that's how I did it. And I would advise men, especially if you have girls, because there's a way girls are very attached to their fathers.
Yeah.
But even though they are boys, because if you're going to catch your spouse's attention, because I don't know how it happens, I don't want to say it's natural, but once children come in, the mother's attention goes to the children. So if you want to catch her attention, catch the children's attention in whichever way you can.
Yes, that is very important, that you do not have to see children as rivals in the home, as competitors. What happens was is seeing these children as competitors. The children have abafumbo babera bayumba. The children now, you mean now your children have taken my place? They are your children too. Find a way of blending in the picture. Of course, we have the issues of now me, I am busy, I'm making money and all that. It is either way these days. So there is no justification enough when it comes to the area of children.
Okay. So meaning, as we take on this journey of dating your spouse, one, I like what you said, that as you date your spouse, okay, what I picked from it, learn her interest.
Yeah.
If the interest at the moment is her children, go to the children.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Yes.
So what other ways can we date our spouses? What can we do? It's like I'm trying to understand. Some of us even dating before marriage was hard. Now imagine after marriage and you're telling someone, one of our viewers, you're telling them that they should date their spouse.
I think also the trends have changed today. Okay. There is a gentleman. He shared the picture of his wife and himself eating mangoes. They were seated somewhere. His name is Pison. They were eating mangoes. So I got that picture and shared it on my TikTok handle, and I said, this is how dating used to be before KFC and Java spoiled the vibe for us. So there are those things that we did then in our times. And where you met. If it was the mango tree,
go back to mango. Whose compound are you going to find a mango? Start dating from there. What you're telling us is we start growing mango trees.
Go back to the roots. Go back to the roots.
They grow enough for us to eat their fruit.
Yes.
We'll have but it's interesting that we need to go back to the things that we actually used.
The things that we did that seemed that the things, for example, the things that we did, like we played together, we joked.
But in this stress and you want to play with me, what is wrong?
And that is where the challenge is now. That's why we come to a point of realization of some things are with us to stay.
Okay.
Say we have our children in place. How are we learning to live with our children? How are we blending our lives together with the lives of the children? So likewise to the stresses, for example, finances. How are we blending our lives?
Because someone will tell you, you're telling me to date. I'm here trying to look for school fees. Where am I going to get the money for dating? Not necessarily, but people presume that dating is expensive.
And then that is a very good say. It is expensive, but it is actually very cheap. Even in your bedroom.
How?
It's affordable.
Because the whole point is revive what you had at the beginning.
I think for me, personally, I would like to say that it's important to know the likes of your spouse.
Because you may carry me and I don't like to be carried.
Yes, it's important to know the likes and see how to fun up those likes.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some who enjoy watching a movie together. There are some who enjoy conversation. There are some who enjoy bringing them breakfast to their bed, holding hands, all those nice things. So it's important to know their likes and fun up the like.
Yes.
Because every one of us has a like.
And that takes us to the 5 love languages, of course. The touch, the words of affirmation, the PDA, and love language.
Yes.
All those ones, gifts.
So you're bringing in the 5 love languages. But do we know? Do we know what love language our spouses speak?
For me, I think it's important to know, and I want to make a confession on air. It took me a long time to understand my wife's love language, but later on I got to discover it was quality time. And when I discovered it was quality time, I had to do some research on it. What is quality time? Now people think that if you sit there,
And
that's quality time. No. He or she is looking for undivided attention. You're not going to be on your phone. You're not going to, you're there for them. And I know you shared me a story. Your husband just wants to look at you.
But is it even visible? No, we sit and look at each other.
That's what works for him. Now for me, I'm a touch person. I'm a very romantic guy. Bring me some roses, bring me some flowers, bring me some chocolate. I'll be up there. That's my love language. So in marriage, we all need to understand. It's important. It took me years, but I discovered how important it is. And I think that gentleman who wrote that book wrote it for a reason. It's important to understand our love languages.
Peace, do you know your husband's love language? It's also flower. I've not met a man who loves flowers, so that's a first.
But he loves gifts as well. When you give him gifts, I see he's responding well.
You see him light up.
Yes.
So it is important that we know their love language.
Yes, like he said, it is very important to know each other's love languages. But also some people's some people are literally confusing. They unless if you watch them in a long time, you won't actually know that their love language is this. Like it says, it took him quite a long time.
Before you know that this is
Yes,
what
before you know. Because you know we are leaving each other every day. When you bring me gifts, you realize I'm all over. You brought me an iPhone, share. Oh my God, Anya Tasa you get an iPhone. So apparently you're like, yeah, I think the gifts are good. And then personally, I'm a quality, words of affirmation person. Like I'm this person, you need to keep telling me to feel you. Keep
This
telling
is
me.
interesting.
And so
the things you are saying seem like they take a lot of time.
actually they don't really
Because
take
you
a
see,
lot
you
of
need to
time.
understand that married people, we are busy people. Now you're here telling me I need to study you to understand. Because one thing I've learned about love languages is they shift over time.
Yeah.
I can start out as someone who wants words
Of affirmation.
By next year I've evolved and now I want gifts.
But
Then
is there
for
a
me,
time?
I'm there.
But is there a time you won't need words of affirmation? Like for example, years ago I was really too small, like small. When I became a bit of a cathedral, I really need words of affirmation. You need to remind me that even if I have appreciated value, I am still okay.
You're still okay. But you see now it has shifted from what you had before. But right now the situation you're in.
I just need it.
So that's what I'm saying. For someone who is viewing us, doesn't it seem like this is hard work?
It is hard work and you have to be intentional.
Because it is marriage.
It is marriage. Yes, you have to be intentional. You have to put your heart in it. You have to put your effort in it. There's nothing that you're going to get on a silver platter.
But is it worth it?
Yes.
That's what I want us to. Is it worth it? The dating, is it actually worth it?
Unless if you came to marriage with an exit strategy. Like it is somehow, somewhere in our times, that people come to marriage with an exit strategy already drawn.
Okay.
But if you did not come here with an exit strategy, every good thing, every attribution, positive attribution, is worthy and deserves in this marriage.
So for someone who is viewing us right now on Ring Diaries, I want us to tell them what are the ways we can simply date our spouses without the complications of, because people really fear that dating is expensive. So someone thinks I put in a lot of money, now I've married you, and now you want me to continue putting.
I've paid my 45 cows, like sincerely.
And now you want me to
what?
date you for what? So for the person viewing us today, what is it that they can do that they keep the flame burning, but it's not so costly?
I've learned something with my spouse and my family. Cut your cloth according to what you have.
Okay.
And that's why I use the word, it's affordable. It
Within
might
your
not be
means.
going to
Yes.
CJ's or KFC. Peace was talking about, have something at home. Have something affordable. Do something. You can buy something and have it from home.
Like
But
what? I want us to give people, because I want us, our viewers, to understand what is that affordability.
Oh, oyinza okuba nga walima muwogo. Muwogo nga yagala nga naawe omwewulira. This particular evening, get kamuwogo, roast it. Tell the children to go to bed. Separate it in a very special way. Bring this kamuwogo, put on your attire bulungi, ladies are things. Come slay in it, come with your kamuwogo gange. Here we go. This is the kamuwogo we have. Isn't that called romance? What is that?
Okay.
Because it's not an everyday thing.
Yeah.
It is something you've done once in 5 years. Apparently the husband, Naya Jack Weka, sister is still very serious like this.
And your spouse will always appreciate because he knows it comes from the heart.
Yes.
As long as he knows it comes from that, that's what is important.
And what is amazing is I realized, okay, for me, I realized that when you buy me flowers, I love flowers, so that's why I was amazed that he loves flowers. When you buy for me flowers, they speak to me. But when you pick for me flowers, the volume is louder.
Yeah.
It's increased.
Yes, because you have taken off that time to actually go and pick the flowers. So I think we need to demystify this element of dating must be expensive.
Yes, and like I mentioned, the reason why I mentioned cassava, it is within our means.
Yes.
Even the couple that is in the depth of Bushen, beside in our village, they have cassava.
Yes.
They can access cassava.
So this dating is not for the sophisticated
No,
people.
and you have a local chicken running around. Let's have it cut and
Thank you very much.
stay in the compound.
and put your table on.
Yeah, live within your
I'll
means.
bring some scented candles. You can make things happen.
It's mad. I'm feeling sorry for your wife, but it's interesting that actually these things are within our means. Sometimes we think they are way up here, but you can actually have a dinner at home, and it's actually even better than going out. So which other things can we do to spice up these things and
Speak life. Speak life within each other's lives.
Okay.
As married, while time goes by, we get familiar with one another, and many things tend to come and happen to us. So these are the person. Let me give an example of the gentlemen, the husbands, the financial stress, the everything. The family grows, of course, from 2 to 5 members. So the next time you see is your husband lost. We feel when we are swaying away from one another. Usually, we feel it. So when your spouse is swaying away and you can feel it, the best response is not, now what is going on here? What is happening? You got somebody else, blah, blah, blah. There is a way we really blurry and blow up. But sit on a round table. Like, it is well. I am aware that we do not have enough money right now. But I think next year will be better.
So you encourage the person.
Yes, so let's speak life to one another. I think that is the other element that is lacking in us. Married quite a number of times. We fail to speak life in one another at home. And then our people go outside
and they find people who speak.
And get life who are they get the audience that is ministering the lives that we are not ministering at home. So I wish we would go back to that drawing board and speak the life. We used to speak earlier on. When your boyfriend said, for example, then, we would like to get married, I want us to get married, but money is not there. The words that you spoke, no, it is okay. I will go talk to Msei, I regretting cows, then you went, into the sugar, the what, they said how many cows. Then you went in a secret place, no take Msei, Mukasoda,
But you see, peace, now they tell us if he doesn't spend money on, he's going to spend on other people. So spend his money.
But who are you listening to then? So that's even that's another area now.
Altogether.
Yes, the voices that come to us also speak volume.
So we need to encourage our spouse.
Yes.
In addition to what Peace was talking about, I want to add the word appreciating. There's a phase in my marriage where I was the sole breadwinner. But now I came to a phase where my wife has been helping the family. But I've learned one thing. I don't undermine her. I appreciate her and say, thank you. So it's important to appreciate your spouse. Because I think it also is important to keep the marriage going. Appreciate them. Because at some point in time I did it. But then I went through a phase and she did it. I just learned to appreciate them.
So just support each other.
Exactly.
But as you're being supported, you need to appreciate also the other person.
Yes.
This is very interesting.
And this speaks 1,000 volumes. And to all married out there, appreciating one another and accepting that marriage is, as I always say, marriage is curvy. Like this. Today the curves are up, the other day you're low. Like it's hilly, valley, straight and all that. But sometimes the way we also treat one another, when the days turn around, treat each other well.
Yes.
Let us treat each other with respect, with humility, with love, with submission. Money should not be the reason why you're submitting. You are meant to submit anyway. Whether the money is there or not, you're meant to love. Your love should not be conditional to the amount of money the wife is bringing on the table, in the home and all that. But you're meant to love anyway, unconditionally. I wish we would learn that.
So, it's conversation. So, literally, wherever we are, let us try to bring back things to where it was.
Yes.
Not that now when things go up, we also go up. When things go down.
I would love to give a picture a mental picture for us. Like I said, I've been married 24 years. I'm now 50 years of age. One of the things I think about, I ask myself, how am I going to be with my wife when I'm 70 years of age? Have I nurtured their life? that when the kids are out of the nest and they're about to go, I told you
Clear.
at 23
They're outside
they're just about, how is life going to be? So when I think of things like that, it motivates me to see I need to date my spouse. It's important because there's life after your children leave.
Yes. So we need to date our spouse.
We need
You've all heard we need to date your spouse. Whether you've been married for a year, whether you've been married for 10 as peace or 24. 24 is a big number. Whether you've been married for 24 years like Rego here, you need to date your spouse. Don't change. We are coming right back as we continue our conversation on dating your spouse. Here at Family TV, I'm Fiona Mboa. Welcome back from our break. My name is Fiona Mboa and you're watching Ring Diaries here on Church of Uganda Family TV. And the topic today is dating your spouse. And before we went for the break, Rego here was telling us that you need to intentionally make time and date your spouse. And Peace was telling us that it doesn't matter if it's the money or whatever you have, you need to date your spouse. So as we continue the conversation, I've been insisting on, okay, the question I want to ask, who should initiate this dating?
There's a tendency to think that men initiate.
You're not supposed to chase us, right?
But I think it should not be religious. Anybody can initiate. If you have a wife who's very, very skillful at what she does, like Peace looks to be, she will do something. So I don't think it should depend on somebody.
So I shouldn't wait and say, let me wait for Mr. Mboa to come and...
You might wait forever. So if you can initiate it, because at the end of the day, it's a mutual benefit.
Yes.
Both of you are going to benefit. So if you approach it with that mindset, whoever initiates, there's also the tendency to think sex is initiated by a man. No, it can happen by a woman too. Yeah, so it is, as long as we understand the mutual benefit, that's what's important. But you asked that we talk about some practical things.
Yes. Some practical things that the women can do.
You said something very important before the break. When you love roses, I told you I love flowers too. But when somebody brings them to you, there's a message they send over to you. So once in a while, I went to a florist shop recently, not so far back, and you realize you can get something affordable.
One stem.
Yes.
There's a way one stem speaks more than a bouquet. Okay.
So for you,
For me.
please don't spoil our vibe. Whereas we went many flowers, $50, $50 note, but byonna bitubeeremu.
Peace. We're trying to encourage people on affordability.
With them, but there is somebody who can afford it
Yes,
all.
true.
Give us. Nama abakyalo omwana genda mugulirayo emipiira gy'emmotoka.
Yes, I like that.
Mwewuunyise surprise.
Yes. If I get some money, go buy your husband a set of tires.
Surprise him.
Wow, that would be a nice thing, a thoughtful thing.
And then you also talked about, of course, we are talking about the practical ways. And you guys have mentioned about sex. Do you know that sometime in marriage, especially when babies come in, quite a number of marrieds tend to get lazy in the bed.
We're not lazy, we are tired.
We get
Lazy
lazy.
is the right word.
Tired.
We get lazy.
We choose to disagree.
No, lazy is the right word.
We are going to
I insist
disagree.
on lazy.
It is tired. I have had a whole day with running around with children. Okay, yes.
You need to make time for that's a very
When
serious
it
issue.
comes to the topic sex, you feel you are tired.
Yes.
Like you're ever tired, you're ever in the children, you're ever everywhere. When they mentioned about leg ministry, that is laziness. But if you want to rekindle the romance,
You need to
the
up your
dating
game.
bit, I think we need to go back also to the drawing board. There are those days that you just gotten married and you need a date. Like you wanted it morning, evening, you even didn't care whether they wanted it how many times. But of course now we understand that many things have come in the picture, and sometimes you get tired, like Fiona just mentioned. It is very understandable. But you cannot be tired Monday, December, January, banange, madam, go abachi. Should the husband do? Because for you, you're just
Why are you
tired.
saying just the women? You mean there are men,
I
there are
am
no men who are
coming.
tired?
Yes, that is
Actually,
what-
you are the victim.
We
in
are
this
the
one.
victims.
No, you are the serious victim
But
in this one here.
no, why are you interrupting this
Yeah.
date thing?
She's scared.
But anyway, the truth is, we get reluctant so much in that area, and then there is a way sex reunites marriage. There is a way you smile when you have sex, especially when
Especially good sex.
People. Okay, back to dating. Back to dating.
Okay, back to dating.
Sex
That is where I was.
Sex is one of the practical ways to date your spouse.
Okay, back to dating.
Okay, I was
practical
saying.
ways. Yeah. We are giving you practical ways.
And I have understood the practicability.
Are you
of what
scared
you're
of
doing.
sex?
No, I'm not.
Allow us to explain. We are talking to marriage here. It is part of the package.
Okay, other practical ways. Which other practical ways can we go
Morning
about
sex
this
is
dating?
just so good. Once in a while, do morning sex. It will reignite the spark, even if you had a bad night. But morning sex is just good for all marrieds. If you can, try it out. There is a way you smile while getting out of the house. There is a way you say bye to the children. There is a way you go hugging everyone at the workplace. You would just feel heaven.
She has given you practical.
Okay, another one.
Okay, another practical way.
From the male point of view.
That's the last coin in the coffee. That's a very practical one. Very. I support that 150%.
With how many jerry cans of sugar and juice?
150%.
Okay. That has been clearly put out, Rego, and we understand.
Yes.
And
There is no man who does not like sex.
And we have understood the malanga of the men. But what are the practical ways? Because that would be like, okay, what other ways can we spice up?
Okay, the truth is, besides that is an important need in every marriage. Sex is a very important need, especially Christian marriages. There are things we shouldn't be fighting over.
Yeah.
Like what George money, we call them more. Then the other one, we all love quality time. Even all people with very many other different languages, quality time is very important. At least give each other undivided attention.
So it doesn't matter whether, because what I want to demystify is this thing of dating is actually expensive.
No, it is not expensive.
So we can actually sit on the veranda, just the two of us, and the children are sleeping, and
there is a way,
no phones.
Yes, there is a way. Sometimes there is that season that the moon is coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens here in the state, but in our village in Mutoma, there is a way the moon comes out there at around 8 p.m. and the moon is just
so beautiful.
Because I imagine ngantu down ne mwami tegego mwezi guvayo. You know, some gatwekwatako.
Yes.
Those things can really add life.
But you see, men, the things that make us happy are so simple. Eh? Like just watching the sun.
Even playing in the rain.
Yes, playing in the rain.
Yes,
I don't know when we last played in the rain.
A long time ago.
Something as simple as that. How much does it cost?
Even the babies will look at you like, when I get daddy, and before you know the kids are also joining you. But for you, you're up to something and you're being intentional on it, like you said, being intentional on something. And there are those very little minor things, like helping each other on their shoes.
Yes. That people find weird. I don't know why.
It depends. Some people find it romantic, but some of our cultures, you know, like we said earlier, when they say your husband removing the shirt, like the amount of morning glory this man had now.
It is that, and I think when we listen to people, we actually we forget. I remember the time we had gone for a family function, and I was putting on my nice mushanana, and my husband went down to tie my shoe, and my father looked at him and was like, I was like, is that man okay? Is that man okay? Clear. So if you look, and actually also pulled back, I'm like, okay, is that bad?
Yeah.
So because of what people are saying,
yes,
you start to pull back.
Yeah.
But I think what is important, especially in dating, is what do you people,
the two of you, and also we also of course won't forget the aspect of cultures and diversities in our races, where we come from, and all that and all that and all that. But then, like you said, it is about the two of you. It is the two of you, so long as it brings morality in your marriage. Bring it on. Let people say banango musajja wawo mukazi yamuloga leka bakuloge gwekakana bakolechi. Bakuloga, but your marriage is flourishing, it is thriving, because people say so much.
Yes, they do.
They will see your husband helping you, like, yeah, abakazi abasoma abaluga banange lino ddogo balijja wakalinaaki nga ekyo kiddawo. So even when your husband is helping you, when your wife is supporting you, they're like, many of these days are not so lazy, but you're actually working.
Yes.
But your wife is being supportive and you're helping one another. So we can only be, this can only work out when we are getting intentional on it, but also acknowledging that we need it.
Yes.
Majority of us are lost in very many other things and haven't even come to the acknowledgement that we need this. Like some people never acknowledge that they need to rest until they break down.
True.
That happens a lot in a marriage.
So we shouldn't wait for marriages to break down. We
yes.
need to date
Redeem them.
ourselves.
Yes.
We need to date. And Rego, you talked about the fact that you took some time before dating your spouse. Is there anything that came out of the dating, or things remain the same?
Usually the foundation of dating is to get to know somebody better and more. Whether you did it before marriage or within marriage, that's the basic foundation of dating. To get to know somebody more and how to find your love for each other.
So once you got to know her more, did that change your marriage for the better or for the worse?
It's usually for the best. Dating is usually for the better. Dating is never for the worst. It's usually for the better.
So
Yes.
it's important that
It's
you date
very,
her
very
spouse.
important. For me, there are things, minor things I do for my wife. Help her wash certain things that are private. Once in a while. That's rare for a man to do, but you know what it does to her. She's busy, she comes back home, finds you wash that, and she feels happy. It's important to know the things that work for your marriage. And I want to say this, our marriages don't all work the same way.
True.
There's a tendency for people to think all marriages are the same. No, marriages run on we're on a different course. But know what works for you and stick to that.
Because you may buy someone flowers and actually as a girl said, if you ever buy me flowers, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yes.
So how you take it, all women want flowers and you just send flowers.
Know
and
what
you
works
just-
for your spouse.
So it's important to actually know what
It's
works
important
for
to
your
know what works for
spouse.
your spouse.
And then going back to what we started with, or going back to where we started,
Yes.
is it actually possible for people who have been married 24 years and not even started dating? Is it possible right now to start from here, or it is too late for us?
Never too late.
Are you sure?
Never too late.
Or if a tree is already bent like
But you remember
this,
what you said?
you'll break
This is an institution where you keep learning.
Yes.
So it's never too late. As I've been married 24 years, I don't even know how to count the years, but I'm still learning. I want to make the marriage even better, even after these 24 years. So
it's not late.
Never
It's
too
not
late.
late for anyone.
Yes.
You can start writing those notes to your spouse. Start calling them sweet names.
Yeah, those nice names. And be teachable. Let's be teachable. Very teachable. Somebody has brought in something new. Don't be like, Katobijewa, blah, blah, blah. Because you want to remain the old you. Somebody has brought in a new style in bed and you're like, yeah. They just brought it on board. Some of us came to marriage with nothing knowledge in that bed. But over time, we become consultants, my friend. So, be teachable, be flexible, so long as it's perversion. But the rest of the things are just okay.
Be flexible. That when someone writes your note, you're like, what? Is he dying? What is happening?
Hey, in fact, if your husband writes something, waves, it is not a will. And even if it is a will, it is very important for you to sit down at a certain point and write. Some of us have properties that we bought and put in our parents' names, in your sister's names, in your cousin's names, in your distant friends' names. Your spouse does not know about them. That's the importance of some of these things we are talking about. The moment we are by the way, there is something I never told you about. Talk about it. Pull out a book and write. I don't know what marrieds talk about there, but it is so unfortunate. Your family takes everything away, yet you spend the entire 50 years with your wife.
But
And these some children,
talking.
what were you doing? That is very shameful and embarrassing. So let's utilize these moments well. These are the things happening in our homes. Let's utilize this. Grab a moment. Sit down with your wife, husband, speak out. Let her know where the things are.
Yes.
Those passwords, abachala zemsiri, oina password etano, oina fingerprint, oina echiso, kati gwe wofa, ani ategera byakuse. Like these things that we really take for granted are for real. Nene twefula busy all the time, we never create time for our marriages. Ogamba toina budde mu communicating. Naye ku mulimu obeera oyogeranga FM radio. Why? This is your marriage. You have one marriage.
So you need to make
take care of it.
Yes. We need to make that time.
Because
so, so for everyone who thinks you're too busy, make the time to date.
I wanted to say something that also, just to add to what my sister P said. The issue of respecting each other is very important.
Oh yes.
Recently, my wife sat me down to show me something, an asset for the family. I really felt very respected. I didn't know much about it. She had told me about it, but it came from verbal to practical and in documentation.
Yeah.
So we need to learn to respect and honor one another. The Bible says, give honor where honor is due. We need to learn to respect each other. It takes us miles in marriage.
Yes.
Yes, it takes us miles in marriage.
And it does not mean you're going to die. You mentioned about such things. These important things, we ought to put them into consideration. Find time, sit down. Of course, now that people who have children outside marriages, out of wedlock, those ones you may have to create a very holy moment to measure them. But these other things, it is not something that we've really put into consideration as marrieds, even in church. But it is very deadly. Find a moment, sit down with a pen, write a will, write wills. Some of us write wills, but you're waiting when you're more via COVID. When will you ever write it? Because we keep postponing what is important and bringing closer what is, let's be broad visionary. Sometimes we are too myopic to even see the future, and that's why one of the reasons we've taken our spouses for granted. You're only looking at today.
And my assignment for today,
yes.
Marriage, you will be there tomorrow.
Exactly. But there is a tomorrow. So if you're in marriage and you cannot look at tomorrow, then you are such a huge piece of work in progress.
Okay, this is interesting. I don't know what for people who are struggling, because I know I have friends who are workaholics, and they think I need to make the money. The marriage, you're here, and the money is actually for you.
Yeah.
I'm working for you. What advice do you give to such people?
I have a challenge with people who put all these things above family. I don't want to mention about pastors, but on the area that you mentioned about, I want you to remember that someday when the work is no more,
it's your family.
You have your family. There is a very VIP here who passed on. Before he was even buried, his position,
had been replaced.
You all know him, was being replaced already. So it's very important, when you have a family, your family should be primary. God has found you faithful and entrusted you with a family. He's only going to ask you the accountability of that family, not from anybody else. But you have a family.
Your first priority should be.
Yes, and this family will be in place when the work is no more. Baba go back ku mirimu. Omukazi gwe wayisa obubi, abaana be wayisa obubi, omwami gwe wavuma because boss akwagala sawa 2 kitundu, omuma sex, morning sex, wena wetalo kamala to preparing a breakfast, kati omulimu tekukyaliwo. Now he is the one in place for you.
To take care of you.
You know, and then you begin, hey, I'm so sorry, why wait for all that?
But on the other hand, I think for some families, it's not maybe all families, this busyness has become a scapegoat. There's something not working right in the marriage, and you're finding consolation in work.
Yes.
So you don't want to, you are the first to wake up, you're the first to run away from home because you're running away from something. That's a reality happening in some homes. So don't be deceived.
So we are here thinking they're good workers.
Some of them, it is because they are running away from pressure at home. It has become a scapegoat. So it is a matter of time that will tell us whether the work you are doing, like Peace was saying, is family your priority. Every money you're making, how are you investing it in family? But for some people, it's a scapegoat. There's so much pressure in the family, and they want to run away.
Because this money you're making, you want to come back and eat it with your family. But then the family that you're not watching over.
So you may even come back and the family is not there for you to enjoy.
Exactly, that's the point.
So I think we need to go back to the basics.
Yes.
Find time and spend it with your family, and especially with your spouse.
Yes.
Because as Peace keeps saying, the children are going to go out. And then we're going to look at ourselves and we become strangers in our own home. So it's important that however busy you are, you make time to actually spend time with your spouse. I need us to give
more practical ways.
No. Find advice to people who may think even this dating thing is for the land or for the people up there. How to go about it, and to assure them that it's actually not late to even start at 40 years to date your spouse.
Yeah. My final remarks on this is it's not too late. We are still learning. None of us is an expert on this. But like I said, at some point in my conversation, we have to be intentional.
There is a bit of intention.
If you don't, there is nothing that works in life for us if we are not intentional about it.
So if it is date night, I put in my calendar every Friday.
So the consistency is important. The intentionality is important. So I would encourage us, never too late, but we have to be intentional.
And we can start.
We can start even today. It's never too late to start.
So how many date nights should we have?
That depends on the couple. That depends on the couple.
What is the recommended dose for date nights for a couple?
I can recommend what Peace was talking about, the morning bit. That one I can give you advice. But this one I might not give you advice.
Okay, I think married should date each other every day in the way we carry and handle one another. With due diligence, with due respect, with humility. Your wife, your husband can say, we do not have a lot of money, but there is love.
Yeah.
You've seen those married?
Yeah.
When they are testifying, when they are witnessing, like, omami wange teyalina sente nyingi naye yali anjagala.
And what's, as talking, I think, to Ergo before, that I've seen women who pray for their husbands to get less money, because they tell you, when we had less money, they actually loved me, and they were available.
It is also intentional of the Lord that He does not entrust some people with a lot of money, because when they had money, they weren't faithful enough. So it is intentional that He gives them that will not lead them into temptation. Actually, in some homes where wives have not been faithful enough with finances, the Lord has bulkily entrusted the financial area with husbands. And in the homes that husbands have literally failed, to some years even intentionally withdrawn their jobs, and He entrusted their finances with their wives, and they are doing well.
So we need to go back.
I think we go back to the drawing board, date each other every day. Don't wait for how many times we can do it. You can do it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow. I can imagine the people who waited to date after COVID.
Yes.
Some of them were building homes and they waited to enter and date themselves in their new houses. Unfortunately, it was to come. So you have now to do life in marriage.
And use what you have available.
Yes, and live within your means.
Yes. Just because the rebels are driving to CJs, I shouldn't also follow them. I can get my cassava and sit with my husband.
You don't eat money that is older than you because you don't even have it.
Yeah, money has an age. This is interesting. Thank you very much. You've heard from these people, and as I keep saying, we are not experts at marriage. No one is an expert at dating in marriage. We're just sharing our experiences with you so that we see how to make marriage better. You've heard from our guest this evening, that is Rego. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
24 years in marriage. And then we have Peace, 10 years in marriage, sharing with us how, regardless of their age or their status, it is very important to date your spouse and date within your means. If it is the one rose you can afford, get that one rose. If it is the note that you can write that note. Do not wait to amass so much, because you may wait and actually be alone at that moment. So enjoy your spouse and go out and enjoy your marriages as God has destined them to be. Thank you for watching us. This is Church of Uganda Family TV with me, Fiona Mbowa, on Ring Diaries.